Yeah, so this is all about what you should expect when you come see a lawyer about estate planning. All right, so this is the last video I'll be making from this spot tomorrow morning, and here it is. It's in the evening, and tomorrow morning we'll be moving our office location, excuse me, and in Baton Rouge from our Segan Lane to our new nice Perkins Road location. Fired up about that. Really, really nice space. Our clients are going to like it. Okay, so, but even though it's the last one here, it's probably the most important video that maybe I've ever made, that's work related. Because this can be one of the most important conversations that you ever have. And I've trained and I've taught a lot of lawyers about this, and most lawyers are pretty bad at it. So, not that I'm God's gift to it, but I've, I've seen a lot of bad conversations. So, at the beginning of the conversation, there should be some question like, Mr. and Ms. So and so, you tell me, what it is as we're having this conversation about, everything that you've worked for and this, potential transition to the next generation or generations with all those personalities involved and all of the kind of financial and tax and legal stuff at play and all those family relationships at play. What is it that you want to make sure, gets addressed? And so, boy, there's a million different answers to that question. So, you know, the estate attorney's role really is, especially in the early stages, to be a listener. Somebody said it years ago that, people have two ears and one mouth. And so that's the way I look at it. Maybe I can look at it like we got six ears and one mouth, because I really want, the person telling me what they want and how they feel. Again, conversations maybe they've never had before. So when we start digging it out of them, who knows what they say? And I've been doing this for 26 years and I've heard about everything from, the reason I'm here is I want my grandson to get my Mustang. And so maybe that's what's most important to that grandpa. Or maybe it's like, we've worked hard, we want to keep the government out of it, we want to keep what we have for our family. Or maybe it's, we, husband and wife kind of look at each other, they don't know whether to tell me anything, but maybe they finally say, well, it's our daughter's situation. She's got some problems, and those problems could range from who knows what to who knows where. Boy, in today's world, it's tough out there. Who knows what those issues might be. We just want to make sure our children are treated equally. We just want to be fair. Um, or maybe it's, our daughter is really controlled by her husband, so we want to address that. Or we want to make sure our grandchildren have an opportunity to go to college, or great grandchildren, or whatever the case may be. We want to make things easy for each other. Who cares what happens when we're both gone? We'll be dead. So I have no idea how to predict what's going on up in people's minds and what might come out of their mouths. So it's my job to ask the right questions and then just listen. So you can expect that. So that may just take a few seconds, or it may take a few minutes. And then what I typically do is, I might find that those one or two, maybe three things that you were most emotional about. You might have said, that darn president we got, or the darn government, and you really emphasized that issue. So, I want to make sure whatever it is that you're feeling, I gotta get it out of you so that we can address it And so now, once we address it, you can sleep at night, you know it's covered. And so there's a little bit of, digging going on, but in a very, very tactful, very positive way. Probably gonna laugh a little bit. And so we just move from important issue to important issue, and sometimes people come in here and they're kind of quiet. They don't know what to say because they just know they need to do something. They know to get their affairs in order. So sometimes, I gotta nudge a little bit, and sometimes I'll nudge by saying, sometimes people come in here and some people tell us they're worried about this, and others it's this, and others it's this, and others this, and then some people say this. Which of those things, are you concerned about? And so I give them a little buffet of kind of the typical things that people worry about, and then they'll say, yeah, that second one you mentioned, that's the one we want to make sure we address for us and for our family. And so, pull a little bit more out. You tell me a little bit more about that. Tell me why that one's important. So again, I'm listening. I'm asking. You're telling. You're sharing. All critical components of making sure everything is set up just right. And then, so as you might, imagine by now, I've really focused on the things that are important to you. I've dug on those things. Now, here in the back of my mind, I'm saying, we talked about a lot of really good stuff, but, there's some things that we haven't talked about that, need to get talked about in an overall conversation. Then I'll bring that up. We haven't talked about this, that, or this yet. So how about if we talk about that? Sure, sure. So we address those things. And really the key, all in layman's terms, kind of conversation maybe you've never had before with anybody, but wished you'd had. And so you can imagine how important, this conversation and how important the attorney is to the conversation. So who knows? Maybe 45 minutes later, maybe an hour later. I don't know, and it varies. We start getting the makings of what an estate planning program might look like. And so my job is to kind of package that together and define it and tell it back to you in layman's terms. So as we get a little farther down the road, I might say, well, sounds like where we are is, you mentioned that A, B, and C was really important, and D and E was also on your mind. So to address those, the program might involve, us creating this, that, or the other, but having it customized in a way so that A, B, and C are really emphasized. D and E are also addressed. So and I'll kind of find out, is that starting to sound like what you're thinking? And so if the dialogue was good and the communication was good, and there was focus and energy and listening and the right questions, then at the end it's almost, boy, that sounds perfect for what we're looking for. So so anyway, the attorney's role is to really get it out of you, and as to what kinds of things are most important, and then customize a program to have all of that in place with all of the right people in charge and things being handled the right way. And most people want to eliminate or minimize the governmental interferences. They want to keep what they have for their family. So that's the kind of conversation you can expect to have in that initial conversation. No breaks because of cell phone calls, no texting going on, just, good dialogue about everything that you've worked for, why it's important to you, what are your values, and what's the best way to, transition that, typically to the next generation, sometimes to the next generation or two or three. So most people, when they leave, they're like, man, I didn't realize it was going to be that simple. I thought it was going to be a bunch of complicated gobbledygook, and you made things seem so simple. And a lot of people just say, I know we haven't signed anything yet, but I have this sense of relief already. So that's the kind of feeling that you need to have after you have that, initial conversation. So just wanted to share with you to maybe take the fear out of taking that first step and having that first conversation to start getting things rolling. Um, Wanted to take the anxiety out of that, tell you that it can be and should be a really positive conversation, um, easy to follow, not even, not so, in addition to easy, should be pleasant and fun. So, congratulations for all you've done. You've worked your tail off for however old you are, 60 years, 70 years, more or less. And so, should be a really good conversation. So, anyway, I went a little long, but I felt like I needed to because this is really important. Um, it's a big deal, but it should be easy, should be pleasant. So wanted to put that in place and just throw all that out there. It's kind of my secret sauce, and I've gone a lot more in depth with other attorneys as I've trained them, and then they go execute it. And to them, many of them have told me it's life changing. So there you go. Now go take care of business.